Pokemon Unite Worlds is in just around a month away, and we just got a massive, almost monumental shift in what we could see there. We just got a new patch, trainers. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. Heading over to Twitter, it is Pokemon Unite U Impact will be released July 18th, 7 a.m. UTC. And we click on it, it gets us over to the patch. 7 a.m. UTC is like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 2 a.m.? It's like around 2 or 3. It's like in the middle of the morning if you're on Eastern time like myself. So let's talk about it. U Impact. Kind of a cool. I like the background. I'm not sure what the U is, but there's definitely something here. So yeah, 7:18, so it's Friday morning. After a reset, it looks like. Have some things. I already see Charizard. Shop updates, event updates, bug fixes. Event updates, I imagine that's going to be with Latios and such. But let's get into the meat and potatoes. Balance adjustments, Charizard getting a buff. Stats increase, so defense, special defense, all around across the board. Looks like they're getting some additional defense numbers, which I think is really good. I think there's a lot of damage in the game, so whenever we see these tuning ups of defense and special defense, I think it's usually pretty good. Especially on Pokemon that are a little bit lower tier, but Charizard, kind of niche in a lot of ways. We saw a lot of it in NAIC, especially into like that Zoro Comfey. Saw LG Overlord using that a lot. So I think this is a very strong change for it. Just with the defense, but that's not even talking about the basic attacks difference. No change to Burst Flame. Flamethrower, Fire Punch, you're getting additional damage to burned enemies, so that could be really strong. No change to the Unite move. Flamethrower getting a damage increase 10%, and then burn damage 20% increase on Flamethrower Plus. The additional basic attack damage dealt to burnt opponents was set to a lower number for some moves. It's been standardized to the higher damage value, so yeah. I think this makes sense for Charizard, but I think this may throw it into a very strong jungler. Maybe even we'll see more Charmander in the top half, to be determined there. Gyarados getting a buff. This is a very interesting one, but Gyarados was meta for a little bit. We saw at ACL, a lot of teams used it, but it received some nerfs, so getting it buffed back up into the meta potentially. We're seeing those same defense and special defense buffs that Charizard is getting across the board. So I think that's always good. Bounce. Hey, this could be really strong. 5 seconds on its shield. We saw a lot of, players use this ability to maybe dodge big cooldowns or a lot of hindrance abilities where you kind of give that immunity during that charge up of bounce. So this could be potentially really strong. We're also seeing Aqua Tail damage increase. This is a move that a lot of people used, so potentially this could be nice. Not a huge number increase, only 18%, but who knows? There could be some potential ways to use it. Ho-Oh. This is interesting. It's a part buff, part nerf, and I'm already seeing something here that's very intriguing. The move Fly has been changed to Sacred Fire, which is Ho-Oh's main series game. It's like its main signature move. So I like that they're adding signature moves in there. So it's kind of cool to see Sacred Fire. Cooldown, it's a long cooldown, 8 to 12 seconds. So this move, I imagine, is going to be pretty intense. Effects, has the user shoot mystical fire of great intensity at the designated area, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon it hits, leaving them burned and unable to act. So it does a stun, fantastic. It does damage, does a stun. For a short time, the user flies into the air, so similar to Fly, it seems, allowing it to move freely over walls and increasing its movement speed and attack. So I believe this is exactly how it was working in the Chinese version of the game, so I think they're just kind of bringing that over here. Now, after this move is used, the user's next 3 basic attacks become boosted attacks. This move is used again, it lands on the ground. Okay, so like, it's essentially... It's essentially Fly, is what I'm hearing. It's very similar to what Fly was doing, just very, very different. At least the beginning portion is. But some of the meat and potatoes of that ability are very still synonymous with how Fly was working. Fire Spin. Ooh, this is different. A little bit lower damage, but after the emitted heat wave, it makes the opponents unable to act. Okay, so a little bit of stun there. I like that. Definitely think the damage decrease is needed. This might even be really strong because 10% might not be enough of a decrease to really offset that additional stun. That additional stun could be really, really powerful. Yeah, so the big change of that is exactly what they're saying here. So that first portion of Fly, it seems, is potentially hindering them, opposed to how it was working previously. Gardevoir getting a buff, okay. Ooh, yeah. Decent HP buff, so 400 HP at the, at level 15. I imagine spread throughout, that'll also be very similar. Defense, pretty nice change here, 50 points on defense, about 55 points on defense and 55 points on special defense, so that's pretty nice. Psyshock also getting a buff, special defense reduction 25 to 30%. Moonblast Plus, shield amount 15% increase. Okay, that's actually pretty nice once you get that level 13. Struggle due to low durability, that makes sense. Gardevoir has quite squishy, low mobility as well. Stats and the shield amount for Moonblast Plus have been improved. Additionally, the SP defense reduction from Psyshock has been increased. Yeah, 25 to 30%. That is nice. I wonder how that's going to impact Spoon. I don't know if this is enough to push it into the competitive meta, but it is very intriguing. We do see like some teams utilize it. I'm not sure if there's any teams currently that have like really strong Gardevoir players, but this could be an interesting central area pick into like very tanky compositions, right? Because that's kind of where Gardevoir does thrive against like those all-rounders that have like low mobility. Like it's good against Tyranitar. It's pretty good against Metagross, like those Pokemon that kind of can't really get on top of you, but it tends to struggle against those speedster Pokemon. And I think with like some of that, and I'm already seeing like 2 green background buffs right below us, along with Ho-Oh buffs, I think potentially this could be a very interesting Gardevoir meta. Crustle, defense and special defense buff. Okay, so this is a very low buff here for Crustle, but it is... it is pretty significant. Like this is 60 points on both defense and special defense. So this could definitely help it survive. I mean, we've seen some of the other defender Pokemon kind of get some of these similar buffs to like their HP pool. We're also seeing Slowbro, not to jump ahead, but we do see that with Slowbro. So I think adding additional defense is quite nice for something like Crustle, who I think has been very close to entering the meta, but hasn't quite gotten there. I think one of the bugs that was there maybe prevented it over the last couple months. But you see that, yeah, a bug has allowed a Pokemon to pass through the rocks in Rock Tomb has also been fixed. So I think the defense buff, in addition to fixing the Rock Tomb buff, could potentially land Crustle in the meta. I think that's a very possible. It's a very, very big possibility. Slowbro, yeah, we skipped a little bit ahead, but we do see it. HP buff, 450 at the max, level 15, probably spread throughout, might make it a nice. Slowbro is actually one of the Pokemon that has the one of the lower HP pools among defenders, so I think this is a very welcome buff. Water Gun, so this is the early game for Slowpoke. Not much on the damage, but when you're charging up Water Gun, you do have a slow on yourself, like you can't walk as fast. So that's all this is. You'll be able to walk a little bit faster while you're charging up your Water Gun, which I think will be really nice in Path, especially if you want to maybe contest some of that wild Pokemon experience, maybe on the enemy side as well. I think that's a very welcome buff because, yeah, Slowpoke does have a very good secure with that Water Gun, but yeah, the movement speed decreases is kind of tough on it. Surf, movement speed on opponents decrease 25 to 30, so that's a nice little buff. I like that. And then a Scald buff, 10% damage increase. Okay, so potentially a damage bro could be very interesting here, especially maybe you throw some cursed item on there. That ability itself has a very low cooldown, So it's a very good applier of the cursed item. So I could see that also maybe playing into something that we see. Snorlax, I'm hoping for a nerf. Okay, we're seeing a little bit of each. Already I see this being a massive problem. Snorlax is already an S tier defender. Giving it additional defense and special defense terrifies me. But they are nerfing some things, so I won't go too far ahead. But that is a very significant buff to a Pokemon that definitely didn't likely need it. Tackle, 10% damage decrease. That's the early game ability. Still probably amazing last hit potential. I think they could probably do a little bit more on that, but you don't want to completely gut it. Heavy Slam, lower damage. I think that makes sense. Flail, cooldown to 7 seconds. I think that makes sense. They could even honestly make it a little bit higher, but I think they're trying not to like completely take it out of relevancy. We'll see how teams line this Pokemon up. I think this is going to be still incredibly S tier. I think this may even move it into a place where it's just banned. Honestly, this Pokemon might be banned in some of the more recent tournaments, or upcoming tournaments, I guess. Alchemy, seeing a ban, or not a ban, a nerf on Alchemy. Maybe we'll see less bans of it now. The last patch, obviously, very, very incredibly powerful. We'll see if this makes any sense. Decorate, slight cooldown increase, half a second. That's not a ton. The effect duration, that is significant. 2 less seconds of that shield, and it's a lower shield, so 25% decrease. Honestly, Decorate was incredibly powerful, especially when you can reset the Decorate shield. I think this makes a lot of sense. I don't think this is going to gut the Pokemon. I still think it's going to be incredibly powerful, especially with Decorate, but these nerfs definitely make sense. Dazzling Gleam, yeah. 12% damage decrease. Incredibly powerful ability. Able to essentially hit 2 targets because you could Decorate and then Dazzling Gleam, and it does a second Dazzling Gleam. So the 12% decrease, welcome. I still think it's going to be very powerful. I think the big thing with this ability is the stun. However, the thing I would like to see different about this is the aiming. The aiming definitely seems quite wonky with this Pokemon, especially when you're trying to target with your ally. It's very wild how this is programmed, so I would like to see maybe we change that up at some point, but overall, welcome nerfs. And yeah, the Fluffy Cream Supreme, nerf to the Unite move, 70% down to a 60% shield, makes sense. Yeah, I think that's perfect. You definitely don't want this thing to completely change the tides of a Rayquaza fight. So these all make sense for Alchemy. I think it'll still be incredibly powerful. I think it'll still likely be heavily in the meta, but we shall see. Serena. I imagine this is gonna get a nerf, yeah. A little bit of both. Okay. So a nerf and a buff. Triple Axle getting a 5% damage decrease. Makes sense. Stomp, 10% increase. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. A lot of teams in Asia love Serena. North America teams, there's usually one player on each North America team that can play Serena. You think like Overlord has a really good Serena. I'm not sure if OG from the Orange Juicers plays Serena at all, but you see like a lot of teams like the top 4 to top 8 play it. But the thing that Serena struggles with is up until that level 6. But once you get level 6, it's on. So I think a stomp increase could be really powerful, but I think they didn't really solve Serena's problem of why it's not played as much. Is that early game. That early game definitely is very, very, very tough. So maybe they'll solve that in like future patches, but I like this. It's starting to go in the right direction. Queen Ascendant damage decrease makes sense. Any single target Unite move is pretty incredibly powerful. Clefable, Moonlight, not a big thing. 8 to 8.5 seconds. It's not a massive nerf, but I definitely think it's welcome. Moonlight, very incredibly powerful, especially in like those death ball comps, so, brawlers and such. So I think this is definitely a positive change, probably a welcome one. I think like a lot of teams in the East absolutely hate Clefable. I think they ban it a lot. So I think this makes sense from a logistical standpoint. Unite move, Metronome, more energy. So Clef notoriously has had an incredible Unite move, and it was always very fast. I think one of the fastest in the game. I think like an 89-second cooldown, which is obviously reduced if you get KO'd or score or hit a wild Pokemon. So 11% increase to that, I think puts it at around 100 seconds, 98 seconds or something like that. Obviously, if you hit a couple pieces of wild Pokemon experience or you get KO'd, I think that would reduce it. So I don't think this is a massive change. It's maybe enough to change it from you can use your Unite move at like 310 to maybe I need to wait. I can't use it after 330. I think that's probably the big change there. So it's not much, but it definitely will be noticeable if you get into a larger team fight closer to Rayquaza. You might not be able to use it in those last moments. Garchomp Dig. This is interesting. I didn't think that Dig needed a nerf. Not a lot of teams use Dig Earthquake, but apparently too powerful. Throw duration 1 second to 0.6 seconds. Earthquake damage decrease. So yeah, I'm not sure if this definitely doesn't seem like a competitive change. At least in the West, this moveset wasn't used a whole lot. Usually you would normally see just like that dragon combo. So yeah, very interesting. Maybe this is a more ranked ladder centric nerf. Dragon Claw, 10% damage decrease makes sense. Very powerful ability. Early game Bulldoze, also very powerful. So I think all these nerfs probably make sense. Yeah, they don't really clarify if it was because of competitive or ranked, but I imagine the ground set is because of ranked. Cinderace. This Pokemon is interesting. I think it could probably get some buffs. But okay, we are nerfing. Blaze Kick, very small nerf. Half second. Attack speed increase after use 65 to 45. Honestly, this is fair. This is honestly fair. This Pokemon very strong. I don't think this is probably a significant change to like keep it completely out of when teams use it, but this Pokemon can very much carry a game, and this ability specifically has a lot of skill expression of repositioning, knowing when to go in. I think it can really snowball if used properly. So I think that's probably fair. We'll see. Competitive environment changes. To create, I'm already singing Inteleon. To create a battle environment where the greater variety of Pokemon can play in tournaments, adjustments have been made centered on Pokemon with high usage rates in competitive play. Like I said, Inteleon. Ability at Sniper, that's the passive ability where you get the diamonds. Max critical counters before evolving have been reduced. Okay, this is huge. Whoa. Okay. This doesn't sound like a lot, but this changes everything with early game Inteleon. Inteleon Clear was very centric around getting that first Bundle Beam, hitting the second, and then leaving the pair in competitive play, and then going straight for those Indeedee because of how fast you'd be able to clear out the Indeedee. This might change that. Now you can't stack those diamonds on this Pokemon, so you can only have one. So this might change how teams play the early game, or if they play this Pokemon early game, or what they pair with it, because now you have to be very cognizant of the pairings, because you need something that can do the pressure of the damage on that, because you really only have one shot to hit your water gun secure. Maybe 2 if you have the eyes, the tearful eyes or whatever up, and you can use a boosted or a crit diamond basic attack as well. But still, you can only have 1 as a Sobble, 2 as a Drizzile, and then 3 as Inteleon. So doesn't change the late game, definitely changes the 1 through 6. Felstinger. Change to be able to interrupt movement with a strong hindrance effect. Okay, this is good. I think this is good. I think Felstinger, incredibly powerful move. Almost too much so. Like, there are so many times where you Felstinger a wall, you get hit with a bunch of abilities, and you're still able to attach to the wall and get out, a dodge, and then eject through a wall. Like, the escapability of this Pokemon, despite being an attacker, kind of crazy. So I think this is a welcome change. Personally, I love Inteleon, and I play it a ton. So maybe I don't welcome it as much, but I think it makes perfect sense. Snipe Shot. 5% damage decrease. Honestly, not that much. I don't think that will... I think if your team needs some range, I don't think this specific change is going to dissuade someone from picking this Inteleon. I think it's still going to put out an incredible amount of damage, but maybe just a little bit less so in the early game. So this Pokemon's going to scale a little bit better into the late game. So yeah, very, very welcome changes so far. Acrobatics. I think this is where the buffs come in. Damage, 15% increase. We don't see it a ton. Normally we just see it with Liquidation. We don't see Liquidation all that much, so I think that's probably fine. Cooldown reduction for Liquidation. 2 seconds. Okay. To 40% of cooldown. So approximately 2.4 seconds. That's not a massive change. 0.4 seconds, not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but I could see this being fine. I still don't think Liquidation will be like the play. I think it's still very low damage. And honestly, not that fun. It's not that fun. So I don't see that being played. I think you play Inteleon for the range. You don't play it to lock on. If you wanted to play a Pokemon that locks damage on, you probably go Glaceon. Psyduck. Uh-oh. Surely this is a nerf, given its play and usage. Psychic area of effect. Okay. Oh. Okay, so the Psychic is a little bit more of a skill shot now, so it's definitely a little bit smaller range. Or not range, but the area, so the circle is smaller. That's what radius means. We learned geometry, guys. Surf. Time until the second stage can be used from 0.4 to 0.6. Okay, that makes sense. So it's just delaying, like you can't spam Surf, which I think is probably good, especially when you get that enhanced version. Because, oh man, that chained and the stuns and the damage, very tough to deal with. So I think these are small changes, but I think very welcome. I think Psyshock is supposed to be Psychic, yeah. It says Psyshock, and then it says Psychic, yeah. However, the Unite move unchanged, the passive ability with the headaches unchanged, so that's still very powerful. They didn't change any of the damage to Surf, but I think these are very small but welcome changes. Bubble Beam, still incredibly powerful, especially if you have some A-pressers that can, pop the bubbles and get the stuns. So I still think Psyduck will probably get some play, just not as much. And then Hoopa, Phantom Force. I'll go to the bug fixes. I think this is the last one. Time remaining until the second use. Oh, okay. This is interesting. So this is changing it very much. 1.5 seconds is a long time. So you are not able to cast, or I guess it is reducing the time from when you cast your first portion of the Phantom Force and how long you can wait until you can cast it again. Before, you can wait 5 seconds. Now you have to use that second instance within 3.5 seconds. That is a pretty significant change on this ability. So I wonder how this is going to affect it play. We've seen a lot of trick Phantom Force usage, and I think with this, you may see less of that in entirety, because we would see like kind of like this interesting tech where you trick Phantom Force a Talonflame, and it just gets them out of dodge a little bit. We may see a little bit less of it, but even then, like when you're pairing it with that type of Pokemon, you're usually doing all the damage very quickly, so maybe this doesn't change it as much as I would think, but a second and a half, definitely very, very different. We'll see. I think it's a good change, though. Hoopa's still very, very incredibly powerful. A lot of players, a lot of teams use it still. And this is a list of all the bugs that have been fixed. Fix a bug where collision for Crustl's Rock Tomb. We talked about this one, so the Rock Tomb is fixed. Fixed a bug where Duraludon's Stealth Rock could not be activated if it was upgraded while the move had 0 uses. Interesting, I didn't know that. Fixed a bug where Zeraora's basic attacks after its Unite move could deal damage to Ho-Oh while Ho-Oh was in the middle of the Unite move. Okay, so just like kind of a very specific interaction. Fixed a bug where some moves would not hit opposing Pokemon that was in the air because of the telekinesis. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that would happen. That's actually very funny. Fixed a bug where the second stage of Galarian Rapidash Unite move could be used again without passing through that mysterious space. Okay, so this is the bug that I think likely caused some of the stuff at Worlds, or not Worlds, NAIC, where it was banned. So I think that's finally like fully fixed. Fixed a bug where G-Dash Fairy Wind could be activated inside of Gravity. Oh, that's great. I was wondering about this because I felt like I remember seeing this playing a Clefable game one time. Maybe I'm making something up and I just got bodied by a Galarian Rapidash, but I feel like something happened. Fixed a bug where Mew could not use its move reset while under the... Oh! Hey, this is big! I remember someone in my community who's a Mew player talking about this and was just so annoyed because, yeah, I mean, you get Darkrai Unite moved and you definitely sometimes may want to go on a different moveset. Maybe you want to go Surf so you can shoo him away and Agility away. Or maybe you just need that last hit of damage and you want to, Electro Ball. Or maybe you're stuck on Coaching. Coaching does nothing for you in Darkrai Unite. So, I think that's probably a welcome change. Glad that they're fixing that. Fix a bug where an obstacle collision box would remain after the wall created by Metagross Unite. Oh, thank gosh. Like, this has been so frustrating. I remember so many times when Metagross would be putting down a wall and I'm just sitting there for seconds and seconds, like trying to move. So that's very welcome. Fixed a bug where the thrown duration could be shortened if Buzzwell's Smackdown hit a Rai right before Surge Surfer. Huh. Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. We have a lot of changes. I think 14, 15 Pokemon got changed here. So I think this is all very welcome. We have a couple defenders getting buffed. I think we're maybe heading towards a more beefy meta. I think it's good because there were very few defenders that were like consistently picked outside of Snorlax. So I think these are definitely welcome buffs. Some Pokemon that were like close to getting picked again. I think Slowbro changes are very welcome. I think Crustals are as well. This Gardevoir one is definitely one to watch for me. I think depending on how bulky teams want to build their compositions, Gardevoir could be a very interesting answer into that. So I think that's my Pokemon to watch. I think generally we don't see a ton of attackers, but maybe we see some Gardevoir. Maybe this is also Miko because I love playing this Pokemon. But that is it for me, folks. Tell me what you think in the comments. What Pokemon are you excited about these changes for? And what Pokemon are you absolutely dreading queuing up in your ranked games? Leave a comment below, and thank you for stopping by. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.